Alright, let's get started. Hello everyone, my name is Shoot, and this is going to be a complete guide to learning how to boost with Kruger in Lethal Company. The goal of this video is to teach you everything you need to know about utilizing boosts in your own game, so that you can go forth and find your own jumps/tricks to get to and from ship safely, or more consistently at least. Also, I know it's been a few days since I've actually made videos. I just had work, and I was tired, and I wanted a small break. So, you know, just how things go sometimes. Regardless, we're on Artifice because it is the most valuable map to go to, best loot, the best exterior to drive on. It has the most diverse entities as well, and it is great for practice. I think this is the best map to practice on as far as driving goes, because it has a little bit of everything. Plus a double-digit exterior cap as well, which is quite dangerous, but you know how it goes. There we go. Come on, Cruiser. So, for starters, we're going to drive over to Fire because it is a very common spot to park in, and it is a great little testing ground as well. Let me get up and over. Turn her around. And this is going to sound weird, but we're actually going to get up here real quick. So, boosting is pretty simple on the surface. Your boosts take on three properties. The first is the speed or direction of the car. So if you're driving forward and you hit boost, it's going to take that momentum and add it onto your boost of whatever direction you hold. Second is going to be the slope or the ground. So if your car is kind of listed like this to the left and you boost up, this is the orientation that it'll have when you boost. And then the third thing that adds onto it is the direction you hold when you boost. So if you hold no keys and you just boost, it'll boost you straight up with the other two factors added in. If you hold W, it'll boost forward, A will boost left, D will boost right, and S will boost you backwards. You can also hold multiple directional keys in order to boost diagonally. So forward and right, forward and left, backward and right, backward and left. It all applies. This applies to both when you're already in the air from a prior boost and when you're on the ground. So let me make sure I have this thing fueled up a little bit. Now, you understand the basics of the boost itself. There are two major components that affect how the boost controls. The first is the gear that you're in when you boost. There is a vast difference between boosting in park and boosting in reverse or drive. The pros of boosting in park are if you are on flat ground, which leads me to the other major component, and that is the slope of the ground that you're on when you boost. Roughly 95% of every moon is going to be sloped or angled to some extent. I mean, even just looking in this fire area, it's flat enough for when you're running around, but it's still plenty messed up for actually driving. Even looking in the center lane for Artifice, it's pretty curvy, it's pretty messed up. The only guaranteed flat portions are these concrete slabs, which you can find on certain maps like Artifice. I think Dine and Rent also have them. And maybe a few of the free maps too, but those ones I think have ladders that you have to use to get up there. And then there are a handful of other flat-ish areas throughout certain maps, but you'll have to find those on your own. And they can be kind of hard to actually spot. And even more so, it's hard to find ones that are actually useful, or are in a useful position. Anyways, real quick, I'm going to boost up here on top of the warehouse so I can demonstrate a lesson. Let's go. So, I talked about how the first component has a major influence on boosting, and that is very true. Try and get my lineup a little better. Jeez. There we go. That annoys me sometimes. Park boosts' pros and cons are that if you are on flat ground, park boosts allow for very consistent lineups and boosts themselves, because the flat ground keeps your car flat when you're up in the air, which means that landing is relatively easy to do, and relatively risk-free as well. However, park boosts are very bad when you're on sloped ground or sloped roofing, kind of like this. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to get in, hold W, and boost forward while in park. Note that if you're doing park boosts and you're holding forward, you cannot just hold it forever, because when you're in park and you hold accelerate, naturally the car will blow up after a certain while. So you do have to be kind of careful with park boosts when you're boosting forward. The other important thing to note, which sounds weird to specify, but is relevant for what I'll talk about later, is that the boost direction is relevant to the direction of the car. So right now this is forward, this is left, this is right. So W is forward, A goes left, D goes right. It is based on the car, not the player direction. Just keep that in mind for the future. Anyway, let me show you what happens if I try doing a park boost forward onto the other roof. That's what happens. I'm surprised we didn't die, actually. That's good, though. Cruiser? Cruiser? Come on. Oh, hey. My dog is whining, but I just let her out. Is that a mimic? What the? That is so weird. I have never had a mimic kill me through Cruiser like that. He just gunned straight for me. Like, ever. That's never happened. The only thing I can think of that would have caused that is the windshield being broken when I fell down the roof. Maybe the windshield being broken or not affects whether or not certain things can see you, like inside Cruiser, or target you inside Cruiser. Because otherwise, like, I have no idea why he did that. It's never happened. Really strange. Sorry for the deviation. Anyways, let's go back to where we were. Now I'm going to show you what the boost looks like when I'm doing it in park. So same lineup, but now I'm in park, or now I'm in drive instead of park. So I just go forward, I hold W. Very different results compared to when I did it in park. That is why you don't do park boosts when you're on sloped ground. So make sure you keep that difference in mind, or it will get you killed. Why do they do this, man? Bro, he's not even dead, is he? Is this like their height limit for the map? Like they can't fly any higher? I don't think I killed them when I landed here, did I? So weird. Now that I've shown you the main differences between boosting with park and without park, next is really just learning how to properly utilize them. That's really the basics of boosting itself. Some things to keep in mind though. If you use your 5th and final boost and then push the spacebar again, you will end up rocking in midair, which really all that does is it screws up your positioning. So now instead of being flat to the ground, you're going to be like upside down, and that will usually result in your death every time. So do not push the spacebar too many times. Make sure you're counting your boosts, otherwise it's just death. Other things to know. The reason keeping your car relatively flat, or at least upright when you're boosting, is because if your car is horizontal or too tilted to the side and you boost in any direction, the car will just kill you itself. Like, I don't know why it's coded this way, but the way it is right now, the orientation plus the speed of the vehicle will just kill you, like, instantly. So that's another reason why you want to keep the car as flat and as upright as you can when you're doing boosts. These guys' wings are kind of getting on my nerves, but I can't even get them to go away. Drives me nuts, man. Once you understand the basics of boosting, which I just went over, the next thing is actually utilizing the boosts to perform tricks. The biggest tricks you can perform are tricks that either get you out Sorry, I had to be silent for a minute. I gotta stay in the Cruiser now. Oh, he's going crazy, man. So, the most basic trick you can perform, and the easiest ones to perform, are boosts where you line up facing the direction you want to go. Like I am right now. So, I'm going to slightly adjust. And now I am perfectly lined up with the magnet. Now I am perfectly lined up with the magnet itself. Here we go. This is also why you want to keep the magnet on. I'm losing my mind. I hate when someone is getting screwed up, man. These boosts are easy to perform because the boosts are intuitive. You use W to go forward, A to go left, D to go right, S to go backwards, just like you do when you're moving on and running around. So for instance, let me just put it in drive, kind of situate myself. Not ideal, but we did make it. That's the easiest kind of boost to perform, is one where you go... As I was saying, that is the easiest kind of boost to perform, one where you are lined up, facing the direction you want to go, pretty much in line with the magnet itself, or the exact spot you want to land at. It is the easiest boost to perform because all it requires is presses of just the spacebar or W in spacebar, which means very little to think about or memorize as far as functionality goes. Moving up from that, we have boosts which are not lined up the way you want to go. As you already know by driving the Cruiser, the dashboard and like the entire kind of front of the car is very high up. It's really difficult to see below it, which makes performing boosts facing that way kind of annoying because you just can't tell how close you are to the ground or where you're at. So even though it's the easiest button-wise, it is not the easiest for adjusting and adapting on the fly. For instance, I can instead line up sideways. Sideways boosts are the next step up from forward-facing boosts. And this ties back to what I was talking about when I said that the direction of the boost is based on the direction of the car, not where you're looking. Because now that I've shifted my whole perspective over, the buttons I want to push to go forward are not the same. Now, A goes forward towards where I want to go, W goes right where I want to go, D is backwards, and S is left. So just by shifting the orientation of the car, all of the keys you have to push are also now oriented in a different direction, which makes it kind of tricky. But memorizing and practicing this change in orientation, whether it be facing left towards the object you want to go to, or facing right towards the object, getting those button presses down is very important because it's the difference between life and death. This is a step up because it relies much more on adapting to your lineup instead of just hoping and praying that the lineup is perfect. To give you an idea, I turn the Cruiser or the magnet on, and I'm going to now perform the jump, which I have shown previously. And this is going to be a quiz on your part. I want you to try and figure out which buttons I pushed to go the direction I'm going, and then I will tell you afterward. So, whoops. Perfect. Well, that was rude. It's interrupted, but that's okay. I'll use this clip I've already recorded from a couple days ago on the next step up, which is going to be using Cruiser to go from ship to fire or main. This is not that necessary, but it is more relevant on Eclipse days where the exterior starts dangerous, especially on maps like Artifice or Render Diner Offense, where you have a higher min spawn count on their eclipses. So this is weird, and there's not really a great way to test besides just kind of smacking your head into it, but there are certain objects and surfaces that don't have collision damage with the Cruiser. So as you just saw, I smacked against this wall on the right, and it pretty much negated all of my momentum and damage, allowing me to just fall down onto the ground safely. I haven't tested too many of these. It's kind of hard to test. You just kind of have to go for it. But there are various ones like this. I think trees also count, that just don't deal damage to the Cruiser when you're in midair. Anyways, that is the video. It is a bit long, but I hope it helped. If you have any questions in regards to boosting itself, please let me know. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.